Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I love to make mediocre matter one good setup at a time. Today, we are talking about a binding that costs more than most snowboards and is primarily for doctors and drug dealers that are still dealing the illegal stuff, not weed. You can't afford this anymore. This is the Source, and this is a discless, ultralight, pretty much all forged carbon binding with only a little dampening around here that has limited stance width adjustability. Doesn't absorb a lot of chatter and really feels different from just about any other binding I've tried. But if you want the lightest binding possible to ride, pretty good response, good support, maybe this could work for you. And I rode this several days, primarily with my Nitro Team TLS boots, compared it against my Union Force, compared it against the Union Ultras and a few other bindings as well. And I put it on several different boards, the Jones Rally Cat, kind of a mismatch, the Capita Spring Break Stairmaster, a more mountain freestyle oriented, almost full camber twin, the Capita Spring Break Pow Glider, and my Capita Black Snowboard of Death. And I got this in a decent amount of conditions, everything from good winter snow, good spring snow. I don't have a lot of footage of this. Some of it was corrupted and I can't use it. So you just have to trust me. But if you look at my other reviews, you know I actually ride this shit and test it extensively. And speaking of, this is an honest, objective review from an average rider's perspective with zero brand oversight for you, the consumer. I can do that because of sponsors like Blower Board Shop. They've been around for a long time. They're a family-run business that's been selling to snowboarders for decades now. They've been making a push to have a much larger online presence, and they're competing with the bigger stores out there in terms of price, customer support, and shipping. So if you want to support honest, objective content and snowboarding in general, click through our links to Blower Board Shop and give them your hard-earned cash. It would be greatly appreciated. So now, when it comes to weight, this thing is so light with the 2 screws in. This is 1 pound, 4 ounces. That's the lightest binding I think I've ever ridden. Just for reference, in comparison to my Union Force, these are 2 pounds, 5 ounces. That's more than a pound difference. And they can do this because it's all forged carbon and it's discless. That seems to save a shit ton of weight. When it comes to the Highback Flex, this is very stiff. There is almost no twist and there is no give. And when it comes to adjustability, there is no high back rotation unless you want to slide out the heel cup and rotate that, but that can be problematic. This requires an Allen wrench to adjust the toe strap and the ankle strap, which kind of sucks, but they do give you one here in this little package that holds the screws and the forward lean adjusters, which I really don't like. You have to unscrew this in the heel right here and change out your degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Just a huge pain in the ass. But that is the price you pay for this ultra light binding. On top of that, you have no disc. So you put these little inserts in, you adjust the stance angles here, and it kind of sucks because you can only get to 21 degrees, where with traditional full-size mini disc and hybrid disc bindings, you can get any kind of stance angle you want. At least you have this heel cup to slide in and out, so you can center your boot pretty well inside this binding. But there is no adjustability with the gas pedal. This also only allows you to adjust according to where the inserts are. So this is every 20 millimeters apart, where with almost every other Union binding, you can get any stance width you want. And so this is a huge step back in terms of adjustability, and it was frustrating for me. It might be frustrating for you as well. Now, when it comes to flex underfoot and butterability, this is amazing because you do have a soft foam right here and only 2 contact points with the board. The rest of this is raised off the snow, so even in comparison to something like the Union Ultra, I just felt like the board had almost the same flex without bindings on. It's a very different feel that's hard to describe, but coming off these, with all this contact with the board to this, it just blew my mind. This felt better than Burton EST bindings in terms of how easy it was to flex the board underfoot. You feel strapped in and supported, but yet you feel like you're strapped in directly to the board. I've never felt that feeling before. It really does feel like the board has ankle straps and a high back growing out of it. When it comes to shock absorption and dampness, you do have padding around the bottom here, and it's a softer EVA foam, so it does help, but in comparison to my Union Force, which have a lot of shock absorption and a much more damp ride than this, Atlas would be a little more damp, but I did have more shock absorption because of this foam on the bottom than I thought I would for this kind of ultra light binding. And when it comes to turn initiation and response, this is a very responsive binding. It didn't feel like it totally overpowered mellower boards like my cheaper, easy turning Rally Cat. So it actually blends pretty well. So while I was editing, I decided to turn back on the lights and elaborate more on response because I know I'll get these questions. I would say they still fall behind the Atlas Step-On, especially when you compare it with a medium fast to fast response boot. It's going to power boards faster edge to edge, especially as the flex gets stiffer. And their partner company, Capita, they don't make a lot of stiff boards. Even their stiffest boards are not really that stiff in the grand scheme of things. So the source will be close to the Atlas Step-On with a lot of Capita boards, maybe sometimes even the same. The softer the board gets, the more powerful the response gets with the source. But if you step outside of Capita's line and you go to a much stiffer board, then you're gonna find that that's where the Atlas starts to step it up and power the board faster edge to edge and really drive that board quickly. And I would say the same thing with the Atlas FC, but to a lesser extent. It's gonna be the same or sometimes even a touch behind the source with medium flexing boards. But as the board gets stiffer, the Atlas FC is going to catch up and even surpass it. Even bindings like the Atlas Pro, Atlas, and Force that you see here are often a step behind the source, just in the way that it allows the board to flex so easy and turn so quickly. But as it gets stiffer again, those full-size disc bindings will catch up a little bit. And when it comes to the Falcor, the Source and Source FC is going to be more responsive. And the Falcor with that easy flex underfoot has similar problems, not quite the same, but similar to the Source. So as the board gets stiffer, it gets a little harder for the Falcor to power it in comparison to the Atlas, the Force, the Atlas Pro, the Atlas FC, and the Atlas Step-On. But if you want more shock absorption, better dampness, and an easier binding to set up and adjust, the Falcor is a great option. And as you're picking up from all of this, this response isn't set. It's kind of on a sliding scale according to the board and boot you use. So it's a hard one to nail down, but that's a general guideline for you. And when it comes to support, I really love these ankle straps. They've got support where you need it and weight reduction where you don't need support. The toe straps grip really well too and really pull in your boot to the high back. These ratchets are ultra light, and I do prefer regular Union ratchets, but they're very smooth on and off. And overall, the lack of stance with adjustability, the need for an Allen wrench, and lack of shock absorption are a deal breaker for me personally. I'm sticking with my Union Forces. They feel great to me. That being said, the response and flex underfoot is truly special, and it's the closest I've ever felt to feeling like I'm directly connected to the board. This could be an excellent choice for those that see a lot of amazing powder, do a lot of hiking, and want a light, responsive binding that truly enhances the flex and feel underfoot, unlike anything else I've ever tried. And if you want to save $300 but still spend more than a lot of snowboards, check the Source Pro that has normal screws, a normal heel loop, more supportive straps, and a little softer flex. that has an easier twist in the high back. That could be a great choice as well because it's still going to be super light and have that really special feel underfoot. So there you have it. I hope this helps.